Hey everyone, day 13. I am doing my video now because I'm working a double today and I only have about an hour and a half in between, and that time I'm gonna use to rest, so I figured now would be the best time. And I was also in the middle of a conversation with a friend, and something came to me that I wanted to talk about. And what had me think about it was just reflecting on our friendship together and like how we have grown and developed our relationship. And it brought me back to, like, in some of my relationships, how difficult or like how rigorous it was to share myself authentically, you know, like just be real and upfront. And it was crazy because, like, in the beginning of these relationships, it's kind of like, well, who would you be? If you're not yourself, who are you being? And anyone that has gone to places where no one knows you, you get that being yourself is, how about this? Being yourself and feeling confident about who you are. Because you can be awkward, you can be weird, you can do all kinds of things. But that ability to hold yourself inside of a space of, I am who I am, and it's okay, and I still have my own self-respect, my own self-love, my own dignity, etc. That's challenging. And it's interesting, you know, it's like how cool it is for me to look back on some of these relationships and see that, and just see, sorry, I'm like speeding to get around this guy. Like what, like that was the best work. Like that was the best work of my life, is the struggle to be myself. It's like the number one investment is yourself. If you can invest in yourself, none of that is going to waste. Meaning, like, if you invest in your health, if you invest in your well-being, if you invest in your self-respect, you know, if that relationship with yourself, I have come to find, is the most important relationship. Without that, none of the other ones can function in harmony, at least not in the sense that there is reciprocity, meaning that there's an even give and take. You know, what is the commerce of being? I know people that are very imbalanced in this. They're great at giving, but they're just like awful at receiving. You know, the kind of people that can like just do everything for everyone and then end up like lethargic and exhausted because they have nothing left to give to themselves. That's not a balanced relationship. That's not a flourishing life. And most of the time what I've found is that these people that give to that degree feel ashamed or unworthy of receiving. What do you do when you feel ashamed or unworthy of receiving? You know, what is behind these experiences? And I think that really, like, freedom to me, you know, I talk about freedom a lot. It's something that I'm committed to. Freedom to me is the freedom to be yourself in any circumstance, you know, but the appropriateness, because to be yourself, you know, oh, we got a traffic jam or something coming up. Everyone's slowing down. To be yourself is like the fullest expression of yourself. That is the thing I feel like is like the most, at least for me, is the most worthy challenge of my life. To be myself fully in any moment. And it doesn't, and I don't mean to pedestal, like I don't mean the overcompensation. I don't mean the, like, meaning like you're free to feel, you know, like you don't have anything to give. You're free to feel like, you know, whatever, like that you have your own permission to have whatever experience that you're having, and that you have the choice to alter that experience. You know, it's like you're free to choose. You're free to choose who you are in any moment. And, you know, looking back at these relationships again, it's like there were experiences where I would spend like 15 minutes looking at a text message because I would want to respond in a particular way. You know, there's the desire to connect. There's the desire to, you know, one sec, sorry. Okay. There's the desire to connect. There's the desire to have rapport. And this was something, it was like really challenging for me to do this, you know, because it was like I was constantly struggling with, you know, and where this came from again was because I felt like a huge fraud in my life. Because at one point in my life, I didn't have a cultivated sense of self. You know, I would just homogenize with whatever group mind I was associated with. You know, this group over here, this group over here, this group over here. And there was always this like felt sense of like a tear, you know, like something was like fragmented inside of me. And my intent was to discover what that fragmentation was all about. And I would assert that most people have something similar to that, if not the same, something similar. It's just like, it's like a part of the society. It's a part of the culture. Unless you have really like best friends and you own your own company and you like have an incredible relationship, like unless you were like, even then, like I would assert that that fragmentation is there. You can't escape it in this culture. Even with Waldorf schooling, you know, like the whole thing. And I'm not even saying that we should, you know, like some of my, you know, perhaps like if we lived in a culture that was, you know, whatever, that's semantics. It really doesn't even matter at this point. This is the court that we're on, and so this is the one, you know, it's like, this is just the court that we're on. So we kind of have to, we're confined to some degree until we can create our own, or become a better player. We got to play by the rules, or, you know, if we want to do anything about it. That's not super clear, but I have to move on. So, now I forgot what I was talking about. And this is, you know, I go off on these tangents, and, you know, I'm trying to make a point, but I'm trying to make the point from several different angles. And I can only imagine, I can only imagine how difficult it is to follow. But I would just suggest, like, listening from a space of just as little expectations as possible at this point. Let me see. The fragmentation. Okay, that's what it was. Splits, identity, why it was difficult to respond to texts, 15 minutes. Okay, it's all coming back. I didn't know how to be. I got that I was a fraud. Like, I felt like a fraud. You know, this, like, you know, where, like, I see people do this now. That pretending that I was talking about in the last video about complaining, where you're like, hey, good to see you, everything, and then they walk away and you're like, God, I fucking hate that. You know, like, that kind of pretending that we're, like, surrounded by. That's what I mean by fragmentation. That there's an inconsistency with the beingness on the inside and the external expression. And what I spent a lot of time working on, and I'm still working on, is making those two align. Meaning that my inner beingness and my external expression match. And dealing with the emotional impact or the emotional recourse that, and physical, that shows up, and mental, you know, across the board, literally. And that to me is like what the work is, like what there is for me to work on. And that is my struggle. And that has brought me more freedom in my life than anything else. And that's something that I know a thing or two about it. I can feel it when people are or are not authentic. And that doesn't make me special. That doesn't make me anything. I think that anyone has that capacity to do that. But first you have to deal with your own full of shitness. Like, people are so full of shit. I know I'm full of shit in a lot of ways. And it's not to say that that's not a bad thing. It's just, like, are you aware of it? So, authenticity is freedom. That's going to be one that I'm going to talk about a lot in a lot of different ways, because it's one of the most important things to me. Authenticity is freedom. It's like real freedom. All right, this one went long. I'm here. Gotta go. Hope you guys enjoy your day or night or whenever you watch this. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.